a super interesting story about
Super interesting.
something known as reproductive tourism. All right.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. The United States
Can I
has
get some of that?
officially started outsourcing pregnancy. No, but I'm not kidding. We outsource everything. We outsource pregnancy. This is an incredible story. So it turns out that there is a $500 million industry in India for surrogates.
But I was pretty sure that our girls over here could also get knocked up.
No, but here's the interesting part of it. Women in the United States are waiting to get pregnant, okay? They want to establish a career, they want to be successful, they want to be financially prepared, and by the time they finally get to that financial point, they're in their 40s, right? And a lot of women have a hard time getting pregnant. So a lot of them will think, okay, let me get a surrogate. That's the best way for me to do this. Except a surrogate in the United States is unbelievably expensive. But in India, it's just a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so American women will travel to India, hence reproductive tourism, and they will pay a surrogate to carry the baby, deliver the baby, and then they bring the baby to the United States. And also you have to keep in mind, and I think this is the most problematic aspect of the story, there are a lot fewer regulations in India when it comes to surrogacy and also adoption. Like, for instance, there were two authors, Professor Wendy Chavkin and Jane Marie Marr. They wrote a book about this, and they talked about one case where an Indian woman would drop off her child at a place that she thought was a boarding school, but women from the United States were adopting children from that boarding school, which was
disaster.
And the American women were under the impression that it was not a boarding school, that it was an orphanage.
See, it turns out if you deregulate enough, it might cause some trouble, right? So now, back to the surrogate situation. Now, look, there's some sense in it in that one of the women they interviewed in India is like, look, I was thinking of selling my kidney because I got an alcoholic husband, he's got $4,000 in debt, I got to do something to take care of my family. Come to find out, they're paying $7,000 for me to carry this baby for 9 months. She's like, I could do that. That's better than selling my kidney. She's like, I sign up. Now, sometimes they keep these women in certain enclosed areas. You know, that drives me crazy, you know. And then, of course, some of the women in rural areas have to hide this from their town because they'd be judged for it. So they say they're going to go work somewhere else, have the baby, and then give it up. But now, of course, here's another problem. And this happened actually with a wealthy Indian family and an Indian surrogate, where they had the woman live with them for a while, but then they got in an argument. The wealthy woman accused her of stealing. They kicked her out of the house and said, we don't want you and we don't want the baby anymore. Good luck.
So the Indian surrogate was all of a sudden left to take care of this baby, to fend for herself, even though she doesn't have much money. So, you know, there are a lot of issues there because of, you know, the lack of regulation.
And they don't get paid until they deliver the baby, okay? So, and then in that case, the wealthy family was like, listen, I don't care how many months you're in. If you want to have an abortion, have an abortion. It's not my problem. See, again, yeah, if you have less regulation, it might cost less, but that lack of regulation has a price, and usually that price is paid by the poorest people, right? So,
but you know, I do want to note that, of course, there are going to be downsides to things like this, right? But there is also the upside. You know, there are women in India that are desperate. They need the money, and they think that, you know, there was a woman quoted in the story who said, you know, some people would say that this is exploitation of the poor in India, but I don't see this as exploitation. I see breaking glass for 15 hours exploitation.
right.
You know?
No, I'm not judging the people who do it. I get it. I totally get it. They make more money doing this. And, you know, and one of the women said she has judged less because it's a white baby. It's like, obviously, I didn't have it outside of the relationship with my husband. Although some townspeople can't understand how they can have a baby without the sex.
Yeah.
So they don't believe them. They say, oh, yeah, right, sure, you got pregnant without having sex. Right. Come on, tell me another one. This crazy girl over here. Right. So there's a lot of different issues. But Anna's right. It's amazing, man. First, we started outsourcing the DVD, you know, and television makers and all that stuff. Now we're even outsourcing their reproduction.
It's amazing, yeah.